Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. And each week, folks, we talk about that loud and crowded digital media world. And it just seems to get louder and more crowded every day and every week. So you need professionals like the folks at Oak City Tech to help you navigate that and get your message out to the people you want to hear it. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning, and each week here on Triangle BNI, we bring you local small business success stories. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. About 35 chapters each week, almost 540 or so members get together, and our goal is to help each other grow their business. And our local small business success story this week is Leora Hand. Leora, how are you today?
I'm great, Mike. Thank you. How are you?
Good, glad to have you here. So, how many different ways do people butcher the spelling of your first name?
It got to the point where I pretty much start answering to anything that has a couple of syllables and mostly vowels. And I get the most I get is Lenora. Everyone
Yeah,
wants to add an N
yeah.
in the middle. I don't know why. I've never ever met a Lenora in my life, but and neither has anyone else. But they decide that that's the spelling of my name, like
And it is a
consistently.
it is a Hebrew name, right?
It is, yes.
And
It
it
means
means
light unto me or
that
my light.
that's a lot of pressure when you were born, isn't it, for your parents to lay that on you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much of a light I was for my parents, especially in the early years. I was not an easy baby.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We got time, so we're gonna get to the sibling and parent dynamics of it.
Sure.
But Leora is a fellow consulting director with me, which means we have, how many chapters are you working with right now?
Um, as a consulting director, I have 2.
Okay. And I've got
As
3.
regional admin, I have all of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we'll get to that too. So, but right now as a consulting director, it's our job to, help the chapters in anything they need. We attend meetings on a, monthly basis. We answer questions on how to help them grow, new leadership teams, which are coming up in October, just whatever resource they need that we can help them, to reach their goals. And you come by all this naturally, Leora, because your dad, Steve Hand, owns Triangle BNI.
He does.
Now,
Yes.
where were you when he bought Triangle B&I? Because it is a franchise, but where were you when he bought it?
I think that was about 13 years ago. So I believe at that point in I think I had just gotten to New Orleans. So I was living in New Orleans. I had just moved there, which was right after Hurricane Katrina had wiped out a lot of the city. Um, so I was living in New Orleans at the time, and as far like all I knew was that my dad helped small businesses get together and support each other, and it just I was like vaguely aware of the concept, but only on a very micro scale.
And like most of us before we joined, you had never heard of B&I, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and me neither. One day I was at a networking event. This would have been 2012 maybe, and my brother and I had a commercial cleaning company, and I was invited to this networking event down at, RBC. And they said, "Oh, yes, for small businesses." I'm like, "Okay, I need to start meeting people so we can, grow our cleaning business." And when you walk in the room, they along the right-hand wall, they had 8 tables of sponsors, and they gave you basically a bingo card. And if you go meet all the sponsors and they check off on your card, you go into a drawing. I'm like, "Okay." So I met Brian Richardson with Ameriprise Financial, who is my financial advisor now and always has been. And he and I are chatting, and our connection was baseball. We started talking baseball, and he said, "So are you in a BNI group?" And I said, "Well, if you tell me what BNI is, I'll answer your question because I had never heard of it." But thankfully, I did. I enjoy it. Met some good friends and some good business partners. But when did you start? So we're gonna get back to your timeline, but you were in Philadelphia, New Orleans, and then moved back here about a year or so ago.
Right.
So
I moved back. Like a lot of people, my working situation got disrupted because of COVID. And so it just made more sense to move back to North Carolina to be by family. And it really all worked out for us that way. And so it just sort of made natural sense to start working with BNI because my dad was, doing everything there. And he was in, the little security network where, that you can't like really pass it to each other if you're, I forget what they called it, like a cluster.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd go over there and do work for BNI, and it was really I say it's like drinking from a fire hose. I just got indoctrinated into all the BNI things really fast, and turned out it was something that I enjoyed and
Mhm.
found interesting. Um, so yeah, that would have been October, like around October of 2020.
Yep. But right now, you are working with a friend of the show, Kevin Seifert, at
I am
RTP.Studio, in the
RTP.Studio.
dot
Yes,
studio, yeah, in the photography world.
yeah.
So, how'd you meet Kevin? How'd you get there?
Well, Kevin is in the Bull City chapter, the Durham chapter in BNI, and he holds the photography seat. And he had recently, in February of this year, started working with a property management company doing their real estate photography. So they just do rentals. So whenever a tenant would move out and they would need to put the place up for rent for a new tenant to move in, or whenever they acquired a new property and they were working with a homeowner, they would need to take photographs and walk through videos and whatever else to rent the place out. And so Kevin started doing real estate photography for them to do that. He had previously just been doing, not just, but he would been doing events, weddings, sporting events, headshots, all kinds of other photography events, but he was relatively new to real estate. And so my boyfriend became his lead photographer, and they got to the point where they were really busy and they really needed someone to help kind of manage the workflow between the clients and between the photographers themselves, because they also have several other photographers who work for them. And so I said, I'm good at organizing people. I'm good at organizing things, good with spreadsheets. So let me jump in here and help out. And quickly that became studio manager slash scheduling czar is my title.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Now, does it say more about the fact that we're cheap or the fact that we think we're all awesome picture takers that we all think we can take a professional photo on our phone?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the other thing too is that the market is moving so fast that a lot of realtors and property managers just think and homeowners, the sooner I can get this thing on the market, the sooner I can get this thing listed, the better. And they don't want to take the time to wait for a photographer to be scheduled and then to wait for the post production to have the pictures edited. But the great thing about our studio is that we can handle all of that within 4 days. So we can have a photographer out. Really, if they are willing to pay a rush fee, we're willing to get them out even earlier than that. But we can get a photographer out to the property in 2 days, and then we can have the finished images and video if they want back into them in another 2 days after that. So they can come to us on Monday, they can have the listing up on Thursday.
I kn
And that's
Yeah,
something that a lot of photographers can't accommodate.
and I know before the market just went nuts, it was crucial to have the correct photographs of your house and good ones. Is that still the same today? Because we hear, some houses they go into MLS and 8 bids and 2, 3 overpriced bids later, it's done. Do they still need the photographs?
Yeah, they do. They still need the photographs, definitely. The Even though the market is saturated right now, there's still a lot of eyes on everything. And these realtors and these property managers are not going to just stop working when the market calms down a little bit. They're going to keep on working, and they're going to need to be able to show that their days on the market were shorter because they use professional photography. So it's still important for them as professionals, and it's still important for the homeowners as the investors that they get this done. Um, and it will still shorten their days on the market and bring in more higher paying homeowners and renters, which is always better for everyone.
What are the 4 rooms you gotta have photographs of to sell your house?
The kitchen, the main bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, and arguably the main bathroom as well. Those are all absolutely vital. And we do 4 exteriors, so 2 different angles in the front and 2 different angles in the back so that people can see the yard, they can see the view from the front porch, and so there's at least 6 that we need to cover, and then we usually do 2 of each of those.
The one thing I've learned from realtors since I've been at BNI, and especially lately, is the attention to the curb appeal. They wanna see what the front door is gonna look like from the street, how
Yeah.
clean the landscaping is, and I learned I forget who this was, they were on the show, it was a few months ago, that they were taking pictures one day of a house, and they told the homeowner to get the cars out of the driveway,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Why would you do that, Leora?"
You do that because you want people to see it as is without anything distracting from the actual property. Because those cars aren't gonna be there when they buy it. It's gonna be their own cars. So you want them to be able to imagine their own vehicles in there and not have anything distracting. You also wanna see that the driveway is in good shape. There's no oil spots, no cracks in the driveway. So those cars could be covering something like that up, and we don't wanna look like we're being disingenuous about or misrepresenting the property. Another thing to focus on is we can't have landscapers on the property at the same time that we're doing the photographs because they're going to be distracting. They're going to be in the pictures, and we have to edit them out afterwards, and that's not the easiest or quickest thing in the world. So it's best to have it look like it's going to look for a walkthrough. Again, because the market's moving so fast, and you'll have investors that are or homeowners that are trying to buy from out of state, they're not going to have the time to come and visit every single property in person. So these photographs are a good stand-in for those out of town home buyers.
Are you any kind of a photographer?
It's funny. I actually went to school for film, so you would think
Mhm.
that I would be, but I have an eye for it. It's real tedious. The setting up of all the shots and
Yeah.
everything just is it's a little bit. I like to just like quickly get the shot and move on with my life. I also like much prefer video to photography. They're similar but very different animals
Are
artistically.
are you drone certified yet?
I'm not, but we have a drone certified photographer on our staff, so we can do drone
That's
shots.
that just seems to me that screams out your name to be able to fly a
You can see me
drone.
out there with the
Yes,
drone.
that's your personality, learning new stuff, playing around with that, right?
I do enjoy it. I have played around with the drone before. My brother got one a couple years ago, and I did play with it, and it very quickly got blown into some trees. And the look of panic on his face was it's like, I think I need to actually become certified before I touch one of these again because it's very expensive thing to get blown into a tree. It's not just a kite.
If somebody is getting ready to or thinking about putting their house on the market for sale or putting their house on the market for rental, is there a difference in what they need to do from a photo standpoint?
Absolutely not. It's the same, really, arguably, like, it's equally important. The renters, the tenants are going to want to see all the same things that a homeowner is going to want to see. That a homeowner might want to see is going to be that wouldn't be covered in photographs would be something for the house inspector to show them. So it's not really a thing that the photography would need to cover. So I would say that the tenants and the home buyers would need to see the same things in photographs: closet space, the yard, the size of the bedroom, nice kitchen with new appliances, new floors, things like that.
We are here with Leora Hand, a fellow consulting director with me in Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. One of the things we talk about all the time, folks, is what you own and what you can control in the digital world. Facebook could shut you down within minutes if they wanted to, should you post something wrong. Happened to a friend of mine one day on her business page, and this was a very well attended business page. She posted a picture of her and her mother and her daughter getting an award that was kind of tied to something in her business. And Facebook shut her down. and took her off of all the pages she managed, and she didn't have a co-manager or whatever it is on those pages that they call them, and she couldn't get access to any of them. So they can shut you down if LinkedIn wanted to, if Instagram wanted to, but when it comes to emails, you own the names and the emails. So you want to have a good email list, stuff that you could control, help get your message out to the right people. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for, and I know they'll be able to help you. All right, Leora, we see thousands of real estate shows. Some of them are good, some of them are eh. So do you watch now that you're kind of in the real estate world on the photography side, do you guys watch any of those? Do you get any tips of what not to take pictures of?
No. They're usually most of that stuff is pretty fake.
Yes,
They are usually like listing, so they're saying that something is being listed at 4.5 million and it's actually more like 1.2. And it's just stuff that's for show, because the reality is real estate's not that exciting. So in order to make it qualify for a television program, they fluff up a whole lot of the stuff. So
they
that's
do.
not really where we've learned most of our important real estate lessons. Honestly, most of the real estate lessons that I've learned has been just from sitting in BNI meetings. Every single BNI chapter has a realtor. Most of them have both a commercial and a residential realtor. And so those people are incredibly knowledgeable. And I have learned so much just from listening to them give their 60 seconds presentation, and some of them their 10-minute presentations. They're really, really smart, really sharp professionals.
If people want a
So I
look,
learned way more from them than I would do from the TV
yeah.
programs.
And if people want to look behind the curtains on these reality shows, first of all, it's hilarious to me when they don't find the load bearing wall until the 38th minute. And oh my God, how are we going to, yeah, yeah, they kind of knew that going in. But Love It or Listed has filmed some shows here in the Triangle before. Probably, I don't know if it's three. I know it's at least two, I believe. And you see all these vendors that are not friends of the host, but like they'll bring in a plumber or an electrician,
Mhm.
and those people to get on that show have to donate almost all of their time and money just to get on the show where they can hopefully have their company logo on the back of a t-shirt to get shown for about 3 seconds. And the prices they quote are lies to read, drywall and this, that, and the other. No, because they're getting all that stuff free. So you're right. It's funny on a lot of those shows. Some of them are good,
Mhm.
but if I've learned anything as a guy, you better show that master bathroom, because if you have that teeny tiny shower and a toilet that's, just kind of there and no room, you're probably gonna have a tough time selling that house.
Yeah. Yes.
Because even I know bad. I don't know good all the time, but I know bad, and I know sometimes I'll see it, and if I tell my wife it's bad because,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know good, but you see a nice walk-in shower and some space, some room, and you got a private door for the toilet. Yeah,
Yep.
okay,
A
now we're
nice double
talking.
vanity, a
Yep,
big closet in there.
yep, with
Yeah.
nice sinks, and we've learned the last house we bought, or the one before, I think was it in Florida? We had, raised the sinks about 8 or 9 inches, and man, did that make a big difference,
Yeah.
where you don't feel like you're leaning over, especially at our age. You're
Right.
you're way young, so you're not gonna feel this for 30 years, but for old people like me and Amnon, it's like, "Man, I gotta lean all the way over there just to brush my teeth." So let's see how many people listening today have been bartenders before. Raise your hand if you've been a bartender. Yep, I have not. Well, I did because I ran the AMF Bowling Center in Durham, so I'd have to fill in sometimes. And so you were a bartender in Philadelphia.
And New Orleans.
Okay. Why? And my guess is it was a side hustle, right?
Oh,
Are you
okay,
there?
you're breaking up. Wait,
Oh,
I'm here.
okay. Were you bartending in Philadelphia? Was that a side hustle? Oh, Zoom is bothering us right now.
Sorry.
No worries.
Having some problems.
What did you hit? Quit playing with buttons.
It's not your problem, Leora. It's Zoom.
How many people are on Wi-Fi at your apartment right now?
Just me, I thought.
All right, well, let's go on with the story about bartending. Well, how'd you get into that, and was that a side hustle?
It was not a side hustle. It was like the hustle. In New Orleans, there were three major industries. There was construction, there was education, and there was the service industry. And those were basically the three things that people did. I did all three of them, and bartending was a great one for it was actually like fully a career for a lot of people. There were people that I worked with in some of these restaurants that had been doing it for 30, 40 years. They were going to retire from it. They were making like a full income that way. And so for me, what I liked about it was it gave me the flexibility to still enjoy the fun city that I was living in, because I was working, like I said, at the construction field. I was working from 8 to 5 and really tired, and so not really getting to enjoy it. And same thing with education, which I have ended up going back to eventually. But bartending was a good way for me to. I didn't have to wake up before noon, and I could go bartend for my shift and then come home and party and enjoy New Orleans, and then, wake up and do it all again the next day. And so it was quick money. I met a lot of people, like a ton of people that way. And it was a lot of fun. And I think that you have to have the right personality for it, but it's a really fun job. It's a great way to get to know people and have cash at the end of every night when you leave, which was also preferable for me at the time. And then in Philadelphia, same thing. I moved there from New Orleans, and I wanted to get to know the city, and it had worked so well in New Orleans. I just thought same thing here. It'll be great. And it was, and everything was going really well. And I was thinking, well, I'll just get a grown up job again, after a couple of years of this. And then COVID hit and everything shifted. So I had to come home and get a grown up job in
Yeah,
North Carolina.
and anything in the restaurant world is a hard life. But you're right, if you get at the right place, you can make some money, but do you still have the urge to sleep till noon?
No, I do prefer to wake up 7:30, 8 o'clock. I can't keep the same hours that you and my dad keep yet. Maybe when I'm older I will, but for right now I think 7:30, 8 o'clock is a good sweet spot for me. And but yeah, it was a lot of fun bartending. You'd get out at, like, the places that I worked at, luckily for me, got out pretty early, so I'd be done at 11 or 12, and then I could still go to the bar afterwards with my friends and coworkers, and then, get home at 3 in the morning, and then wake up at 10 after having had a solid 7 hours of sleep, and that worked. It was okay. But yeah, I do like 7:30, 8 o'clock is not a bad time to wake up.
But right, yeah, I guess, for most of you, yeah. Should you ever need to, alter your schedule, I always tell everybody I can be your wake-up call because 'cause I'm up early, so, what was the worst part of bartending?
Customers. Like 100%. You were basically held hostage by whoever came into your bar or restaurant that day, and we had no control. Like, you could only kick someone out if they were
Yeah.
really, really, really misbehaving. And so you could have spent your whole night waiting hand and foot for these people and dealing with all of their demands and ridiculous complaints and questions about, like, rearranging the whole menu, and spending all of your time with them. And they walk out and they've tipped you $1, and you're like, okay, cool. So I just basically lost money. There were shifts that, you'd go, and if the restaurant or the bar was slow, sometimes you'd end up losing money for having shown up if you had to drive or pay for parking, or even like me, I took the subway to work. Um, and so that would be $5 round trip. And there were times that, like, I'd barely make over that because it was so slow. So yeah, customers, the lack of consistency with income, those were two of the really hard things. I liked everything else about it. If it weren't for the people.
What was the hourly rate bartenders were paid?
215,
Wow.
$2.15 an hour. Everything else was tips.
Yeah.
And if you had to split tips and your coworker had a rough night, then you had a rough night too, because then your $75 goes down to 50 because you had to give them part of your tips.
Yeah, and I learned a lot when I was, running a AMF center in Durham because I never worked with food, And so
Mhm.
all of that was new to me. And I just assumed wait staff would tip the bartender because you made their drink.
Yeah.
But sadly, was not the case. I learned that the hard way, and then we had to have discussions with people, the wait staff. They're like, "What do you mean I've got to split tips?" I'm like, "They made your drink so your customer tipped
Yeah.
you. Let's look at the progression here." Uh,
Oh yeah, you got a full bar of people that want your attention, and
yeah,
then these servers also want you to make their drinks for their tables, and they're going to get most of the tips on them. So you're going to prioritize the people that are sitting at your bar,
yeah.
and if they want you to prioritize them, then they can tip you out.
What made a good tipping customer, do you think?
I like the ones that tip cash for every drink instead of the ones that wait until the end when they close out their tab. That way I don't have to worry that they're going to get drunk and leave and forget to tip me. So if they're tipping me cash on every single drink, they've got my attention. I'll take care of them.
So if it's 3.95 for the drink and they slip you a 5, that's the best way to go?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
right.
great.
Tell me you've seen some good breakup moments at the bar, because alcohol, I've told people this for years, is the ultimate truth serum. I don't
Yeah,
care
I've
who you
seen
are, I don't care what you're thinking, but if it's in your head, alcohol is gonna bring it out.
yeah, the CIA shouldn't mess around with the LSD and everything. I think just get them
No.
drunk. Like that's all you need.
Yes, yes.
um Well, a good one was this guy had come in a couple of times with this one girl. And so we knew him, and me and the other coworkers knew him and her as a couple. And then one day he came in with a girl who wasn't the same girl that he was usually coming in with. And I picked up on it pretty quickly. I was like, "Oh, something might be going on." But my coworker, when the girl came in the next time, said, "Oh, we missed you on Thursday. Where were you?" And she was like, uh, I was out of town." And he was like, "Oh yeah, when Joe came in, I was really surprised we didn't see you with him. So I was just worried you were under the weather." And she was like, "Joe came in? Why?" And so it turned out he had been cheating on her and decided to bring the girl that he was cheating on her with to the same bar that he
Yeah,
had been coming with his
and
girlfriend.
let's talk about my kind for a second. It's hard to defend my kind sometimes, but that's his fault. You do
Yes.
not go to the friendly confines with somebody
No,
else. You go to the other side of
go somewhere
town.
else.
Come on, dummy. That's like rule number 1. Of course that's gonna get out.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So, was that the last you
So,
saw of Joe and that, the regular girlfriend?
it was the last I saw of the regular girlfriend. Joe came in by himself a few more times after that.
Oh gosh.
So yeah,
You just
that was disappointing for her.
you just had to shake your head. I'm like, "Are you really here with someone else?"
Yeah.
Here's, one of my favorites. I learned how bartenders can, cheat. Again, this is all new to me, and the typical thing would be if you and I are bartenders and
Hmm.
Amnon's the customer, and I'm the regular bartender, and I pour him, high-end vodka at the house vodka price, which is why he comes in every night and sits at my bar, right? And then
Sure.
on Tuesday night, Amnon comes in and there's Leora, and his first and only question is, "Where's Mike?"
Yeah.
"Oh, why are you asking? We know he's nice and personable, but why are you asking?" So I learned that. And then the other way I learned with, how your bartending kind puts the dollar bills in the drawer facing one way, and then one bill facing another way tells them basically how much money they gave away that night and how much they gotta reconcile when they close, which I thought
Yeah.
was, and one bartender actually, I've heard this story, he used the straws. The way he stacked them, like 4 vertical and 1 horizontal, and I've
Okay.
heard stories of bartenders using bottle caps to
Sure.
read
Yeah.
to figure out how many free drinks they gave away and got, paid cash for it and how they had
Yeah.
to reconcile it. So, I'm sure you've
Or
seen.
coasters.
Do what?
Or coasters.
Oh, yes. Okay. But eventually they
Yeah.
get found, correct?
I mean, it depends. If you're also the reliable bartender who the owner trusts you and kind of has you be the manager, and you're good about it, then it actually helps business to be sneaky, and because you're keeping these customers coming back. So if you've got someone who comes in and every fourth drink they get for free, those are still three drinks that they're paying for that they would have been spending at another bar. So you're getting them keep on coming in. So the markup on alcohol is so outrageous
Yes.
that it's actually you're not losing that much money if you're giving away one free Miller Lite for every three ones that you're selling.
Yeah, and that's another thing I learned. The markup on food is horrible, except for pizza.
Yeah.
Like wings and wings are brutal. I mean, you make any money on wings,
Yep.
but on alcohol. But when you think about it, as it was explained to me, so you get a big, a handle of, Jack Daniels or whatever. You can pour a lot of drinks out of that.
Oh yeah. Yep, you definitely can. And your most of them should be measuring. I think I don't know what the I haven't bartended in North Carolina, but in Philadelphia and in New Orleans, you had to be certified to sell alcohol. And so we would have to use jiggers to
Yep.
measure out the shots. And then some places they would let us freehand pour because it's just faster and there's less to clean up.
Yeah.
So in a high volume kind of environment, you count it out. Um,
Mm.
and that tells you how many ounces you poured. But yeah, the markup is insane. Most restaurants only make their money on their alcohol sales. So if they don't have a liquor license, I don't know how they're making
Yeah.
any money.
Yeah.
If they're a BYO place, it's just the overhead is insane.
Yeah. You must have seen a lot of regulars, and then all of a sudden, one day they're not there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody knows, and, "Oh, well, we haven't seen Bill in a long time, hope he's okay."
Oh yeah. They all had names. They all had stories. We all knew about them. And then honestly, like yeah, if we didn't see them, it would get concerning. And be
Yeah,
like, what happened?
yeah,
Hope they're okay.
and you probably had some that were real chatty, even on a crowded
Oh,
Saturday night, right?
yes. They're very the regulars are some of the most entitled people that you will ever meet. They think that and they're just so unaware too. Like they will
Yes.
see that you're completely slammed, but they still think that they need to be able to tell you about their whole
Yeah,
day at their accounting firm. And just like,
yep.
I can't with you right now. I really can't.
Yep.
This kid just broke a window over there. I gotta go.
Mhm. Yeah, self-awareness is something a lot of people don't have, which is kinda funny. How
Yeah.
many marriage proposals did you get during this time?
I did see about four of those. And they all said yes, which was good.
No, I mean people at or clients asking you
Oh,
to
that I had
marry
no, that was
them.
a lot more. That would be like 4 a week.
Were there any of them that just for a split second you thought, "Interesting"?
No. They were all gross.
Yeah, but that you were their best friend, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, they love me.
That's good. We are here with Leora Hand, a fellow consulting director in BNI of mine. We are there to help chapters grow and reach their goals. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Social media folks, it's a brutal thing to do, to stay up on it, to post every day, to comment. So go find professionals like Oak City Tech who can do that for you because for me, it's cool to do for 72 hours. And then I lose interest because, like, man, I got to come up with more ideas. So go to the professionals at Oak City Tech. They'll be able to help you. All right, Leora, you said you have a brother.
I do.
Who's older?
Me.
Were you a good big sister?
No.
And why?
When this is the way that I always explain it. He was born when I was 3.5 years old. And before he was born, while my mom was pregnant with him, we got a lot of gifts sent to the house for him, little toys for the new baby. And my parents let me play with these toys.
Right?
And then when he was born, I was told, these are no longer your toys, these are for the baby. And I was like, no, I've been playing with them. These are my toys. I don't understand how this new interloper is going to get my toys. This is not okay. So they started us off on the wrong foot, I think, with that. Um, so he would, do the little brother thing where he'd follow me around. He'd want to play
Mm,
with me and my friends. I just be like, ew, gross, my little brother. But then one day a kid on the school bus was bullying him, and I waited until the ice cream truck came, and I knew that the kid would always run up and come get the ice cream, and it was right in front of my house. And I just stood there waiting for him, and I checked with Jeff. I was like, "Is this the one that's been messing with you?" And he said, "Yeah." So I waited for him to come up. I waited for him to get his ice cream, and then I punched him right in the face, and he dropped his ice cream and he ran home crying. And my brother was like, "Oh, so we're friends now." And I was like, "No, we're not. But if anybody messes with you, I'll harm them."
Yeah, only
So
you can pick on your brother,
exactly.
not anyone else. Now, how old was that kid you hit?
He was actually a year, maybe a year or two younger than me. So he
Oh,
was, but I was a small, I was a very small kid growing up. So I think I would have been 9 and he would have been 7, 7 or 8.
oh, tell me that kid flinched every time you walked by him.
Oh yeah, he did not mess with me or my brother ever again. And he was the superintendent's kid too, so I was lucky we didn't get into
Oh.
trouble. Yeah.
Well, yeah, how is he gonna explain that to his mom and dad?
Yeah, he didn't want to. I think that was the thing, was that he got punched in the face by a girl. So he
Yes.
was just like, "I'm just gonna keep it to myself," and,
Well, and then they would ask, "Why did she hit you?" And actually, let me tell you what his standard response would be, "I don't know."
"I don't know, she's crazy."
Oh, man. See, that's the good stuff. I was a bad big brother. My brother and I are, what are we, 20 months apart?
Oh, wow, so you guys are like
Oh,
little
and he
Irish
just
twins.
couldn't have been more of a pain in the ass. And yeah, but again, hanging around, you're not gonna hang around with my friends, and it
Right.
was just, it was a sport every day just to beat on him, and so I'm surprised he still talks to me this day, but I know how that goes. Now, we had an older sister, so I don't think any toys were involved, so I don't know. That's funny. I hadn't even thought about that, people bringing stuff by, and then at some point in time, did you ask your parents, "Can we take him back?"
Immediately, I was like, "So, this is just a little trial run, right? When do I get to vote for it? I say no. We don't need this interloper in the house."
And it's good, you make mental notes for if and when one day you become a parent for, I gotta keep an eye out for that moment.
Yeah.
And it helped me. I always get a kick out of moms who have sons, namely 2 or more, but never had a brother. So they don't understand the stupid things we do that we can't explain, and we just go, "Why are my 2 boys jumping off the back of the couch with a towel tied around their neck like they think they can fly?" It's easy. They're boys.
Yes.
What? We'll just, so we fall down on the ground. We think, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Let me jump off again."
Oh, I mean, it was exactly that. Jeff was in the hospital constantly because of just doing dumb stuff like that, like walking on the back of the couch, and he'd fall down and cut his eye open on
Yeah.
the milk crate. One time he was riding on a skateboard and he was holding onto a rope that was behind somebody's bike, and he fell and like put his teeth through his mouth. I mean, like, that kid was in the hospital. He broke both of his thumbs. Like, he's just like, and I didn't. I didn't. I was a typical, like, girl in that way. I was very careful, um, physically, and didn't really end up getting hurt that much. And he was just, I mean, like, no fear whatsoever. He was just constantly jumping off of things and falling down them, and just a boy. And
It
again, no explanation. Like,
Yeah.
why did you do
No,
that? I don't
we
know.
because we thought, hey, y'all, yeah,
This
watch
looks fun.
this. Yeah. The ultimate Southern answer. Hey, y'all, or warning.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, watch this. Yeah. So no truth to the rumor you sent him to the hospital with any of those injuries?
No, no. And as a matter of fact, when I was supposed to be watching him and he fell off the couch and cut his eye open, instead of checking to make sure he was okay, I ran upstairs screaming to my parents, "I didn't do it.
Yeah,
I didn't do it. It wasn't me."
true.
And my mom's like, "What?" And he comes running up behind me with like blood coming from his eyes. So I made sure that my bases were covered. I
Yeah.
wasn't in trouble because it wasn't me that did it. But yeah, didn't check on him, didn't make sure he was okay.
Yeah, after a while, you probably could have hit him, and they would have believed, well, he's been in the
Oh
hospital
yeah,
3
he
times
probably
this
just did it
year,
to
so
himself.
he probably You were also in a previous life a librarian.
I was, yeah.
What did you learn from that you can apply to your photography/BNI careers now?
I learned about organizing grown-ups. So I was a librarian for children, and they were lovely. They were great. but trying to get the grown-up teachers to bring their classes to the library or to keep track of or to help the kids keep track of their library books, I should say, was impossible. And these were like Yale graduates. Like these were people that like very highly educated, very privileged people. And it was like it was a nightmare trying to keep them organized. And I've noticed the same things sometimes in BNI. Some of these very highly trained professionals can also be a little bit difficult to manage. And the same thing with the studio is that sometimes these property managers and these real estate agents are equally frazzled and disorganized. So I've learned how to basically, I just have to make it as easy on them as possible. Like hold their hand
Yeah.
every step of the way.
Well, in their books, they're figuring out, well, they'll get back eventually, and if not, it's only a 20-page book, and they'll just buy a new
Right.
one. Or more importantly, kids just leave the books right there. The librarian will put them back in their place, right?
Yeah.
You always learn a lot about people. My dad told me this years ago. Just if you want to know something about somebody, just check and see how they treat the cleaning crew. And that's really all you need to watch is if they
Yep.
spill something on the floor and leave it for the cleaning crew, all right. It's not the
Yeah.
right thing to do.
It's
But
the same way I feel about shopping carts at the grocery store.
yeah,
If people don't, if they just
yep,
leave the shopping cart out, I'm just like, who raised you?
yeah.
Like, well,
M
there's a guy that goes around picking up the carts. Yeah, but he's supposed to just take them from the cart stand where they're supposed to be, and it's right there.
yeah.
They make it so easy on you.
My
With the
favorite
exception of like
yeah.
one grocery store, I think every single grocery store I've ever been to has a very like multiple very easy places to put the carts away.
My favorite are the 2 front wheels up on the grass
Yeah.
divider. So I'm gonna be lazy and not take it back to where it should go, but I don't want it to roll and ding somebody else's car, so I'm gonna put 2 wheels in the grass. I'm like,
If they
"What?"
could take that effort, just put
Yes.
the cart away.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they're taking up they're usually burning a parking space with
Mhm.
that cart too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can watch people, and if they do or don't pick up something that's, just all you gotta do is move it out of the way or something like that.
Mhm.
Stuff like that just cracks me up. Just, again, people watching.
Oh, yeah.
Walmart and the airport are my 2 favorites.
Oh, wow,
I
that's where
I love
yeah.
Walmart. I love Walmart. It's just
People are definitely not at their best.
there's 3 of everything. If I'm bored, it just makes my day. When Becky and I go shopping, I push the cart, and she said, "Here, stand here. I'm going down this aisle to get a couple things." I just stand and watch people. I think it's great. I think it's great. Do you have a favorite people watching place?
I loved doing it when I was bartending. It was a great place
Oh, yeah.
to watch people because a lot of times they like you just become part of the background and they forget that you're there. They
Mhm.
forget that you're a human being with ears that can listen, and you will hear the most insane stuff.
Yeah.
And they really think that you're not listening to them, but we very much are. I promise. Like the bartenders and the servers that wait on you are listening to everything that you say
Yeah.
and
And
definitely telling people in the kitchen about it afterwards.
and they're either running down a coworker or a spouse or giving you the dumbest conspiracy theory
Yeah.
on why something's happening to them or something they read. Just you sometimes just wanna walk up and go, "Really? Do you believe that?"
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, the things they're telling the person next to them, and again, if they're like most people, the more they drink, the louder they get.
Oh, very much so. And the wilder the conspiracy theories
Yeah,
and everything else becomes. My ex-wife broke up with me because of, the government.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now what is the rule? I'm not a beer drinker, never was. I enjoy
Mhm.
vodka. But the rule is it beer first and then the hard liquor, or how does that go?
They say beer than liquor, never sicker. Liquor before beer in the clear. So
That's
you're
it.
supposed to do the liquor first and then move to
Okay.
the lighter stuff.
And then there's probably something else, like my youngest son loves the Four Horsemen, so he drinks the dark liquor, Jack Daniels and all that, and I'm a vodka
Sure.
guy, and I'm sure that has a different effect on people, right?
It it really I think it depends on each person's level of tolerance because really like alcohol is alcohol and it's like that people say, "Oh, I can't drink tequila, it makes me fight." And some people say, "Well, I can't drink bourbon because it
Yeah.
makes me, want to sleep with people. And so everyone has their own opinion about it. I think that really it's more psychosomatic than anything else. Like, drunk is drunk, and I
Yeah.
don't think that it actually has any. It can affect your hangover, though. I will say that the way you feel the next day, the lighter liquors are better for that.
Oh,
So
so
the
well, and while before we close here, what's your tip on avoiding a hangover?
drink water.
Before,
So
during, and
for
after?
before, during, and after, that's the best thing you can do is make sure you drink one drink of water for every alcohol drink that you have, and then before you go to bed, take some ibuprofen or some
Yeah.
Advil.
Yep, that's what I do, I know, and I think most people have a tequila story, so I'm in that
Oh yeah.
category. Oh, yeah, so, anyways, Leora, we've enjoyed it very much, chatting with you, getting to know you. Good luck with RTP.Studio and with Kevin
Thanks, Mike.
and that gang, and I'm sure you and I will be crossing paths again later this week on CD stuff.
Definitely.
And
Thanks for having me.
we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.